Canadians continue to remember the late, great Gord Downie through endless enjoyment of his Tragically Hip songs, which will go on forever, along with music. Downie also left behind a legacy concerning reconciliation with First Nation peoples. Our Clark Heipel gauges the impact of his reconciliation attempts and his work in that field with Nipissing University President Dr. Michael de Gaugne, the first Aboriginal president of a Canadian university.
He was a pragmatist, and he took actions, whether that was to write a song or to write an animated book or to talk about an individual, those sorts of things. Those were real concrete steps and actions that he took.
That's Dr. Michael de Gaugne on the late Gord Downie and his efforts of reconciliation with Canada's Aboriginal population. The Nipissing University president is encouraged by the work and legacy of Downie.
His intent was to make this very practical, just as we need to make reconciliation very practical. We can come up with a dozen principles of reconciliation, but one action, one song, one book, one movie, may do a lot more for reconciliation than all the talk in the world.
That work includes a solo album, graphic novel, and film entitled The Secret Path, which was released in late 2016 following the Tragically Hip's final tour. It tells the tragic tale of 12-year-old Chani Wenjack, an Ojibwe boy who died running away from a residential school near Kenora, Ontario in 1966. De Gaugne says Aboriginal Canadians know these stories all too well. However, Downie's impact on popular culture has helped educate non-Aboriginal Canadians.
For those of us who have been in Indigenous sort of social issues and political issues for a long time, we get the sense, because we talk about things like residential schools or child welfare or imprisonment, and we talk about these things in this incredible overrepresentation of Aboriginal people. We talk about those all the time. And after a while, you kind of assume that everybody knows that, right? Everybody knows their history, or at least knows that part of Indigenous history. And along comes a person like Gord Downie and begins to really publicize these things and raise awareness of these things. And I think we get a sense then that there's a lot of people out there who really don't know about these issues. And I think Gord Downie did a lot to help put the spotlight and the focus on Indigenous history, but also on contemporary problems.
De Gaugne points to new statistics revealed in the latest census to prove that reconciliation is indeed happening. He says that more and more Canadians are proud of their heritage and self-identifying as Aboriginal Canadians.
And I remember the time we crossed 1 million, but now I think we're at 1.7 million. And so this isn't population growth solely. This is a people who have stepped forward and identified themselves as Aboriginal people because they're proud to be Aboriginal people. And so what we often need is we need the kind profile in our community in Canada, but we need champions in a lot of ways. And sometimes these champions come from the non-Indigenous population. People like Gord Downie, with the kind of profile he had and the kind of everyman Canadian, and that made a great deal of difference. His adoption of Aboriginal issues and his sort of lifelong devotion to the community and to right the wrongs and these sorts of things. I think that was all very, very important to people. It made a great deal of difference.
Downie was recognized for his work in December of 2016 by the Assembly of First Nations at a special Chiefs Assembly in Gatineau, Quebec. He was honored with an eagle feather and was referred to as a man who walks among the stars. Reporting for Cogeco News, I'm Clark Heipel.